I still remember the conference room's cold air, the bright lights glaring down, and every pair of eyes watching me as if I were about to fail. I had spent weeks preparing this project update, every slide carefully designed, every word rehearsed until my voice grew hoarse. My hands shook slightly as I stood at the front, trying to steady my breathing and calm the butterflies attacking my stomach. This was my chance to finally show what I could do, to prove I belonged here. Then Marcus spoke, his voice cutting through my nerves like a sharp blade. "Maybe people from your kind of background should stick to simple tasks," he said, his laughter echoing across the room. "This division requires real professionals, not charity cases." The laughter spread around me like wildfire, a chorus of judgment and mockery. My blood ran cold, freezing me in place. I tried to speak, to defend myself, but he waved me off dismissively. "Honestly," he added with a smirk, "your low-income upbringing probably limited your understanding of how things work here. It's not your fault, really. You just weren't built for this level of work." Humiliation washed over me like ice water, drowning every ounce of confidence I had built. My project, my hard work, was stripped away in seconds, reduced to nothing but a joke. When I finally walked out of that conference room, hoping to catch my breath and collect my shattered dignity, I froze just outside the door. Through the thin walls, I heard Marcus laugh again and say clearly, "They'll never rise higher than assistant. Some people just know their place." The words hit me like a physical blow to the chest. Something inside me broke in that moment, cracking open like an egg. But instead of crushing me completely, it lit a fire deep in my core that I had never felt before. The humiliation transformed into fuel, burning hot and bright. I stumbled into the restroom, gripping the counter to steady myself as my legs threatened to give out. My chest tightened painfully, my stomach churned with nausea, and anger collided with shame in a way that made my head spin violently. The humiliation clung to me like a wet, heavy blanket I couldn't shake off. I could still hear Marcus's mocking laugh playing on repeat in my ears, taunting me. I sank to the cold tile floor, pressing my forehead against the wall, refusing to let the tears fall just yet. I wanted to vanish, to escape, to hide from the world. But then something shifted beneath all that pain and embarrassment. A small spark of determination flickered to life, weak at first but growing steadier. I refused to let Marcus control my story or define my worth. I had worked too hard, overcome too much, to let one arrogant man destroy me now. During lunch, I called my best friend, my voice still trembling as I poured out everything, the laughter, the sneers, the way Marcus made me feel completely insignificant in front of everyone. My friend listened patiently, then reminded me of every battle I had already won, every obstacle I had overcome just to reach this point in my career. Those words anchored me, pulling me back from the edge of despair. Back at my desk that afternoon, I found an email that made my heart leap unexpectedly. A company-wide talent development program had just opened applications. Only the ambitious, the skilled, and the truly fearless were encouraged to apply. The program promised accelerated leadership training, executive mentorship, and exposure to high-level projects across divisions. My pulse raced as I read the requirements again and again. Maybe this was it. The chance to transform humiliation into triumph. Maybe I could rise above Marcus and finally prove my worth to everyone who had doubted me. The more I thought about it, the more the idea took hold of my imagination. This program could be my weapon, my path forward, my redemption story waiting to be written. I spent the entire evening researching the program, reading testimonials from past participants, and carefully crafting my application. Every word mattered, every sentence had to demonstrate my value, my potential, my hunger to succeed despite the obstacles placed in my way. Submitting the application felt like jumping off a cliff without knowing if there was water below. My stomach twisted into knots as I hovered over the submit button. Marcus had to approve all program applications from our division. I knew him well enough by now. He would never let me participate without turning it into another public disaster, Another opportunity to humiliate me, but I couldn't let fear stop me now. I clicked submit and held my breath, waiting for the inevitable rejection or mockery. Hours passed like days. I watched Marcus in the hallway the next morning, distracted by some departmental crisis that had everyone scrambling. His arrogance blinded him to everything else happening around him, including the notifications piling up in his inbox. I slipped past his office unnoticed during the chaos and quietly checked the application status on the internal system. My heart nearly stopped. My application had been approved automatically by the regional office, bypassing Marcus entirely due to the crisis diverting his attention. Relief and excitement flooded through me, but I knew better than to celebrate too soon. This approval wasn't an act of kindness from the universe. Marcus would eventually notice, and when he did, he would absolutely try to turn my participation into another spectacular failure for his entertainment. But I also knew something Marcus didn't. I had been underestimated my entire life, and I had learned to use that as my greatest advantage. Every insult he had thrown at me, every dismissive gesture, every mocking laugh, they all flashed through my mind like a highlight reel of pain. This time, though, they didn't hurt. They fueled me instead. I began planning my strategy immediately, mapping out every phase of the program. Every task would be an opportunity to shine brighter than anyone expected. Every interaction with Marcus would be carefully calculated. Every move I made would be precise and deliberate, designed to showcase my abilities while exposing his incompetence. A quiet promise settled deep in my mind, solid as stone. Marcus would not see me fail this time. He would see me rise higher than he ever imagined possible, and when I did, he would finally understand the depth of his terrible mistake. The program began the following week with overwhelming intensity that caught many participants off guard. Leadership exercises pushed us to our limits, complex simulations tested our decision-making under pressure, and problem-solving challenges seemed designed to break even the strongest candidates. Several people dropped out within the first few days, overwhelmed by the relentless pace, but I thrived in ways that surprised even myself. Every analysis I presented drew praise from instructors. Every strategic plan I developed was held up as an example for others. Every presentation I delivered left the room impressed and engaged. The confidence that Marcus had systematically destroyed with his constant sneers slowly returned, stronger than before, hardened by adversity. Then came the turning point, a private meeting with Dana Wells, the sharp and respected regional director overseeing the program. Dana had a reputation for being fair but demanding, someone who valued results over office politics. She requested a meeting and asked detailed questions about my background, not to judge or mock like Marcus had done, but to genuinely understand my journey. Her questions were direct yet thoughtful, probing yet kind, seeking to understand what made me tick. For the first time in months, someone in leadership actually recognized my capabilities instead of dismissing them. I felt seen, truly seen, in a way I hadn't experienced since joining this company. The validation meant more than I could express. Dana's tone shifted, growing more serious as she leaned forward across her desk. "I've been quietly observing your division for several weeks now," she said carefully, watching my reaction. "There are significant concerns about management practices, toxic culture, and questionable decision-making at the leadership level. Your name has come up repeatedly, but not in the way you might think." A thrill of anticipation ran through me, electric and sharp. My humiliation suddenly felt like more than just personal suffering. It was evidence of a much bigger problem festering in our division. The idea of justice, maybe even revenge, felt appropriate rather than cruel. Marcus had created this situation through his own arrogance and mistreatment of people. I nodded slowly, determination hardening like concrete in my chest. Dana continued, "I need someone on the inside who can help me understand what's really happening, someone smart enough to document issues properly and brave enough to speak truth to power. Are you willing?" I didn't hesitate. Absolutely. This program suddenly became much more than just an opportunity to learn leadership skills. It was my chance to rise, to reclaim the power Marcus had stolen from me, and to finally show him and everyone else exactly what I was truly capable of achieving. As part of my program assignments, I began carefully auditing various aspects of Marcus's division operations, looking for inefficiencies and areas for improvement. The deeper I dug into files, reports, and communications, the more shocking incompetence I discovered hiding beneath the surface. Misreported figures that inflated our performance, ignored client emails that created service failures, stolen ideas from team members that Marcus claimed as his own innovations. The evidence was everywhere once I started looking. Then I found something that made my blood boil with rage, a crucial document linking a critical project failure directly to me. I stared at the screen in disbelief. I hadn't worked on that project at all, have never even been consulted about it, yet Marcus had carefully attached my name to every failure point to shield himself from consequences. My chest tightened painfully as the implications became clear. If anyone in upper management reviewed this document without context, it could completely destroy my career and reputation. Everything I had worked for could be gone in an instant because of Marcus's cowardice and manipulation. I carefully documented everything I found, taking screenshots, saving emails, creating a comprehensive timeline of deception. Then I sent it all to Dana with a detailed summary. Her response came within an hour, her expression grave when we met. "This changes everything," she whispered, her eyes scanning through the evidence. "This is far worse than I suspected." From that moment forward, every day became a calculated step in exposing Marcus's incompetence while proving my own worth. The spark that ignited the day he humiliated me in that conference room was now a roaring blaze, impossible to extinguish. Marcus had fundamentally underestimated me, dismissed me as insignificant, and now he would learn the cost of that arrogance. I was ready to rise, and nothing would stop me now. Marcus began watching me with growing suspicion, his paranoia obvious to anyone paying attention. He lingered near my desk for no apparent reason, asked pointed questions about my program activities, and glared daggers whenever I spoke to colleagues or attended meetings. The attention was uncomfortable but also strangely validating. He finally saw me as a threat. Meanwhile, I continued excelling in every aspect of the program, consistently ranking at the top of my cohort. One particularly challenging day, Marcus deliberately sabotaged a team simulation exercise by providing my group with intentionally incorrect financial data, hoping we would fail spectacularly in front of the program directors. Most people would have panicked when they discovered the bad numbers halfway through the presentation. But I had learned to verify everything, to trust nothing at face value. In Marcus's division, I stayed completely calm, quietly verified every single number against primary sources during our preparation time, methodically corrected all the mistakes, and led my team to deliver a flawless presentation that earned the highest scores of the day. Dana noticed my performance immediately, pulling me aside afterward. "I've never seen anyone handle sabotage so professionally and effectively," she said with genuine admiration. "You're clearly ready for much bigger responsibilities than you currently have. Keep doing what you're doing." Pride and vindication surged through me like electricity. Every sneer, every insult, every moment of humiliation had somehow prepared me for exactly this. Marcus had tried to break me, but instead he had forged me into something stronger, sharper, more resilient than I ever would have become without his cruelty. The program eventually assigned us to develop and present comprehensive strategic recommendations to the executive board, a high-stakes opportunity that could make or break careers. I spent countless late nights perfecting every slide, rehearsing answers to potential questions, anticipating challenges, and refining my delivery. I refused to leave anything to chance, knowing Marcus would be watching and hoping for my failure. Presentation day arrived with clear skies and nervous energy filling the building. My heart pounded as I entered the boardroom, but the moment I began speaking, confidence took over. My voice was clear and strong, my arguments logical and persuasive. Every question the executives threw at me, I answered precisely and confidently, demonstrating deep understanding of both strategy and operations. Dana sat in the front row, nodding subtly with approval, her eyes encouraging me forward. Marcus arrived 15 minutes late, looking pale and furious as he realized what was happening. His entire empire of intimidation and control had no power in this room, with these people, at this level. He could only watch helplessly as I succeeded. Whispers filled the office corridors for days afterward as word spread about my presentation. Marcus's expression shifted between fury and disbelief whenever our paths crossed. I smiled inwardly each time I saw him, satisfaction growing. The first significant crack in his armor had finally formed, and it was only going to grow wider. Several days later, Marcus confronted me directly in the hallway, his face red with anger. "Who gave you permission to present to the executive board? You think you're clever, going behind my back?" I met his gaze evenly, refusing to look away or show fear. "It's part of the program curriculum. All participants present to executives. You approved my participation, remember?" Before Marcus could respond with another threat or insult, Dana appeared seemingly from nowhere. "Marcus, that's quite enough," she said, her voice carrying ice-cold authority that made him flinch. "True leadership doesn't tolerate disrespect, sabotage, or intimidation of talented team members. Perhaps we should discuss your management approach in my office." His mask of confidence slipped completely, revealing panic underneath. Raw realization crossed his face. The division was no longer under his absolute control. The power structure was shifting, and he was on the wrong side of that shift. Later that afternoon, Dana called me into her office privately. "You're ready for significantly bigger responsibilities," she said without preamble. "The executive team has been watching your progress, and they're very impressed. Major changes are coming to your division soon. Be prepared." Marcus had absolutely no idea that my rise had already begun, that his downfall was being carefully orchestrated by people far above his level. The man who had mocked my background and predicted I would never rise above assistant was about to learn a devastating lesson about underestimating people. Marcus became increasingly desperate as he sensed his grip on power slipping away. He shadowed me constantly, tried various intimidation tactics, and attempted subtle sabotage at every opportunity, but I had learned his patterns too well by now. I anticipated his moves, documented every questionable action, and stayed 3 steps ahead at all times. During this period, I discovered even more damaging evidence hidden in old division files that Marcus had forgotten about: mismanaged funds that violated company policy, falsified performance reports submitted to executives, and email chains clearly showing he had systematically stolen credit for other people's work over several years. The pattern of misconduct was extensive and undeniable. Then something unexpected happened. An anonymous envelope appeared on my desk one morning containing additional detailed proof of Marcus's financial misconduct that I hadn't discovered yet. Someone else was helping expose him, possibly someone he had previously wronged. My pulse raced as I reviewed the documents, understanding their significance immediately. I handed everything to Dana that same day, the evidence now overwhelming and irrefutable. "This changes everything," she repeated, her expression a mixture of anger at Marcus's behavior and determination to fix the situation. "The board needs to see this immediately. Thank you for your courage in bringing this forward." The office atmosphere grew increasingly tense over the following days as whispers spread about investigations and upcoming changes. Marcus's carefully constructed empire was crumbling brick by brick. People who had once feared him began speaking up, sharing their own stories of mistreatment and manipulation. The dam had finally broken, and there was no stopping the flood now. Through it all, I remained focused and professional, continuing to excel in my work while the investigation proceeded. I felt ready to step into whatever role came next, prepared by adversity to handle the responsibilities of leadership. One morning, Marcus did something that shocked everyone. He approached me privately, his usual arrogance completely gone, replaced by desperate pleading. "Please," he said, his voice cracking with emotion, "tell HR this was all a misunderstanding, that I was just trying to push you to improve. I'll make things right, I promise. Just help me keep my job." I looked at him for a long moment, remembering every humiliation, every insult, every attempt to destroy my confidence and career. Then I shook my head slowly but firmly. "I won't lie for you, Marcus. You made your choices, now you face the consequences. That's how accountability works." His face went white, then red, cycling through emotions before he turned and walked away, shoulders slumped in defeat. I felt no joy in his suffering, but I felt no guilt either. Justice was simply running its natural course. Days later, HR called a formal meeting. Marcus was escorted from the building by security, his personal belongings packed in a small box. His reign of intimidation finally ended. Relief and anticipation washed over me as I watched from my desk, knowing significant changes were about to unfold. That same afternoon, Dana summoned me to her office with an urgent tone. When I arrived, she was standing by the window overlooking the city, then turned to face me with a slight smile. "We need someone capable and trustworthy to lead this division moving forward," she said directly. "Someone who understands both the operational details and the people. Someone who has proven themselves under the most difficult circumstances. Are you ready to step up?" My heart raced, but I didn't hesitate for even a second. "Yes, I'm ready." After all the humiliation, all the obstacles, all the nights doubting myself, I was finally prepared for this moment. Everything had led here, every challenge had been preparation, every setback had been a lesson. Every moment of pain had forged the leader I had become. The official announcement came 2 days later. I was named the new division head, effective immediately. The promotion was substantial, jumping several levels in one move. Stepping into Marcus's former office for the first time felt surreal, like entering an alternate dimension. The desk and chair seemed enormous, the responsibility weighing on me, but I straightened my back, took a deep breath, and called my first team meeting to address everyone directly. "I want to be transparent with you all," I began, looking around the room at faces showing mixtures of curiosity, hope, and uncertainty. "I come from a humble background that some people once told me should limit my career. They said I wasn't built for professional success, that I should stick to simple tasks and know my place. But that background didn't limit me, it built me. It taught me resilience, creativity, empathy, and the value of hard work. Those lessons will guide how I lead this division." Silence filled the room for a moment, then I saw respect dawning in people's eyes. Several team members nodded, and a few smiled genuinely for the first time in months. The oppressive atmosphere Marcus had created was already beginning to lift. After the meeting, I found a crumpled sticky note in the desk drawer. Marcus's handwriting clearly stating, "They'll never rise higher than assistant." I stared at it for a long moment, then deliberately tossed it in the trash. Liberation, not anger, filled me now. My first full week as division head brought immediate challenges that tested my leadership skills. Marcus's former allies initially tested my authority, pushing boundaries and questioning decisions, trying to determine if I was truly in charge or just a temporary placeholder. I remained calm but firm, establishing clear expectations while listening to legitimate concerns. A significant project crisis emerged when a major client expressed dissatisfaction with our service delivery. Instead of panicking or deflecting blame like Marcus would have done, I personally coordinated response teams, monitored every task closely, maintained constant communication with the client, and we successfully turned the situation around completely. Client satisfaction scores actually increased, and we secured additional business. Marcus's cruel words paradoxically continued fueling me forward. Each obstacle became another opportunity to prove myself, to demonstrate that true leadership came from competence and character, not intimidation and politics. I wasn't just surviving in this role, I was genuinely thriving, and the division was transforming under new management. Dana provided valuable guidance during this transition period, offering advice on navigating executive politics and building strategic relationships. "You're exceeding expectations," She told me during one of our regular check-ins, "The board is extremely pleased with the changes they're seeing. Keep doing exactly what you're doing." Under Dana's mentorship, I began implementing larger structural changes. The division had operated under Marcus's fear-based management style for too long, crushing creativity and initiative. I restructured teams around strengths rather than politics, implemented merit-based reward systems, and created channels for honest feedback without fear of retaliation. Productivity increased measurably within the first month. Team morale improved dramatically as people felt valued and heard for the first time in years. Marcus's toxic legacy was slowly fading, replaced by a culture of collaboration and mutual respect. The transformation was visible, tangible, and deeply satisfying to witness, but Marcus wasn't finished trying to sabotage things. Even from outside the company, he attempted one final desperate move, anonymously sending false reports to executives claiming I was mismanaging funds and creating hostile working conditions, essentially projecting his own past behavior onto me. The accusations were serious enough to trigger an immediate investigation. I remained calm throughout the process, cooperating fully and providing complete documentation of every decision and transaction. The investigation cleared me completely within a week, and the trail actually led back to Marcus as the source. His lies were exposed. His credibility destroyed even further, and any remaining sympathy people might have had for him evaporated completely. Dana handled the situation decisively, ensuring Marcus faced additional consequences for attempted defamation. "Your integrity under pressure continues to impress everyone," she told me afterward. "Lesser leaders would have panicked or fought back emotionally. You handled it perfectly." The board conducted a comprehensive review of the division several months into my tenure, examining financial performance, employee satisfaction, client retention, and operational efficiency. The results exceeded everyone's expectations. Executives specifically praised the dramatic improvements in leadership quality, team cohesion, and strategic innovation. My team gained recognition across the entire company as an example of successful turnaround management. Several other divisions requested to learn from our transformation process. The success felt validating, but more importantly, it felt earned through genuine effort and ethical leadership. Recognition brought new opportunities. I was invited to participate in company-wide strategic planning, asked to mentor other emerging leaders, and included in conversations about future organizational direction. My seat at important tables was no longer questioned, it was expected and welcomed. Throughout everything, I made conscious efforts to remember where I came from and why this success mattered. I established mentorship programs for employees from disadvantaged backgrounds, created scholarship partnerships with community organizations, and spoke openly about my journey whenever appropriate. Helping others who faced similar obstacles became just as important as my own advancement. Marcus made one final attempt to discredit me publicly, posting false accusations on professional social media platforms and contacting former clients with misleading information. The desperation was obvious and sad. Dana and the legal team intervened swiftly, issuing cease and desist orders and threatening further legal action if he continued. His attacks finally stopped, his threats dissolving into nothing. During this time, I discovered additional financial misconduct from Marcus's tenure that auditors had missed initially, serious enough to warrant reporting to authorities. I provided all evidence to the legal department, who forwarded it appropriately. Marcus eventually faced formal disciplinary proceedings and potential legal consequences. His own actions had led him to complete ruin. The situation reminded me of an important lesson: integrity matters in the long run. Marcus had taken shortcuts, stepped on people, and operated without ethical boundaries. His success had been temporary, built on sand. My success was being built on solid ground, competence, honesty, and genuine care for people and results. As months passed, Marcus tried reaching out several times, alternating between aggressive threats and pathetic pleas for forgiveness or help. I refused all contact, maintaining appropriate boundaries. His arrogance and cruelty had created his situation, There was nothing I could or should do to rescue him from consequences he had earned through years of terrible choices and behavior. HR formally removed Marcus from all company systems and communications after he violated no-contact agreements repeatedly, assumed full control of all remaining operations he had touched, cleaning up lingering messes and implementing better processes. Team morale surged even higher as the last shadows of his influence finally disappeared completely. I continued developing the division culture I had envisioned, one where talent was recognized regardless of background, where innovation was encouraged rather than punished, where people felt safe contributing ideas without fear of humiliation or theft. Marcus's oppressive tactics were replaced entirely with collaborative leadership that brought out the best in everyone. The programs I implemented began showing remarkable results. Several team members who had been demoralized under Marcus's leadership flourished under support and recognition, producing exceptional work that earned company-wide recognition. Watching people discover their own potential and confidence was incredibly rewarding, perhaps even more satisfying than my own success. A particularly critical project succeeded far beyond initial expectations, generating significant revenue and strategic advantages for the company. The executive board specifically commended our division's leadership and execution. Recognition from the highest levels confirmed that my rise was built on substance, not luck. Team members began expressing deep gratitude for the culture change, and several people apologized for initially doubting my capabilities when I first became division head. I welcomed them warmly, focused on building unity rather than holding grudges. Everyone deserved chances to grow and change, just as I had been given opportunities despite Marcus's attempts to block my progress. Dana called me to her office one afternoon with an interesting proposal. "We're restructuring regional leadership," she explained, "and your success here has positioned you as a strong candidate for broader responsibilities. Would you be interested in overseeing multiple divisions across several locations? It's a significant step up, but I believe you're ready." I took time to consider carefully, weighing the responsibilities and impact. The opportunity represented another major advancement, a chance to influence even more people and operations. After reflection, I decided to accept the challenge, knowing that growth required continuously stepping outside comfort zones. The transition planning began immediately. I worked to ensure my current division would continue thriving under new leadership, implementing succession plans and knowledge transfer processes. The people I had developed were ready to step up, proving that good leadership creates more leaders rather than dependents. Throughout the final weeks before my transition to regional leadership, I removed the last obstacles Marcus's tenure had created. His remaining allies either left the company voluntarily or accepted the new culture and integrated into successful teams. I consolidated positive changes with sustainable systems and processes that would outlast any individual leader, ensuring the transformation was permanent rather than temporary. The division I was preparing to leave looked dramatically different from the one I had inherited. Productivity metrics, employee satisfaction scores, client retention rates, and innovation measures all showed remarkable improvement, but more importantly, people's faces looked different, less stressed, more engaged, genuinely happy to come to work each day. My final all-hands meeting with the division was emotional. I thanked everyone for their trust, commitment, and hard work during the transformation. "You made this success possible," I told them honestly. "Leadership can only create conditions for excellence. You provided the excellence itself. I'm incredibly proud of what we accomplished together." The standing ovation caught me off guard, emotion tightening my throat. These people had given me a chance when others dismissed me. They had embraced new leadership after years of suffering under Marcus's reign. Together, we had proven that culture change was possible, that toxic environments could be healed, and that everyone deserves to work somewhere their contributions are valued. Sitting in that same chair Marcus once occupied, I reflected on the entire journey, every humiliation, every insult, every obstacle he had placed in my path. Instead of destroying me, they had built me, sharpened me, and prepared me for levels of leadership I had never imagined possible. When I was just an assistant trying to survive his cruelty, I addressed my team one final time before transitioning to regional leadership. "I come from a humble background," I repeated the words that now defined my leadership philosophy. People told me it should limit my potential and define my ceiling. But that background didn't limit me, it built me. It taught me empathy, resilience, creativity, and the importance of treating every person with dignity and respect regardless of their position or history. Respect, trust, and loyalty filled the room in ways that fear and intimidation never could. Marcus's words no longer held any power over me or anyone else. I had risen through determination, intelligence, ethical leadership, and genuine care for people and results, not through cruelty, not through shortcuts, not through stepping on others. I was finally in complete control of my career and my story. The underdog had triumphed not through revenge, but through proving that true leadership comes from strength of character rather than abuse of power.